All right, so I just wanted to come on here today and kind of stream of consciousness that Bungie Marathon reveal, the gameplay reveal. I'm a little bit late to this. Everyone's already kind of done their analysis or their deep dives or their breakdowns on this thing. But I wanted to talk about, from my perspective, why I'm so excited about this and why I think I'm going to kind of focus my channel and my streams around Marathon and sort of like leading up to September, Bungie in general. The first thing right off the bat that appeals to me is the art style. I'm still trying to figure out what it is that like specifically is registering with me, but this art style is, I'm obsessed with it. I'm so obsessed with it. I sort of had my own ideas, and as I was reacting to this and watching the stream, I was like sort of pulling out references for me, but my references always seem to be like, you know, from cinema, from movies, narrative stuff. That's sort of where my mind goes when I'm trying to relate a style. I don't have like a deep knowledge of art or periods. Same with architecture. I don't have a lot of reference for it. I know what I like and I know what speaks to me, and I sort of can make comparisons to things that I know, but I don't know what they're called. And during the reveal, when Joseph Cross was talking about the style that they were using, what did he say? Graphic realism.
Yeah, it's one of our ingredients that we've sort of conjured up to help us define the visual world. For these runners, you know, the first thing we wanted to make sure was their visual fantasy reflected the gameplay fantasy well. And then we sort of have our you know, unique recipe of influences and inspirations for the reimagining of this world. And one of those sort of constraints we've created is this idea of graphic realism, where we kind of reduce the amount of geometry, we limit our materials, we use a lot of graphic design and color.
I was like, is that an internal term or is that what they call this style? Because if that's like the name of this style, that's huge news for me because I love it. And like the main color that they're going with, that like neon yellow green, that tennis ball green. Oh my God, it looks so good with the contrast that it's such a bright color that almost anything you put against it contrasts so nicely. Big fan of just sort of like the basic broad strokes of the art style, and then everything that they showcased, the concept art and the early reference stuff that they adapted and sort of made it what it is. So that graphic realism is a great term for me to know and sort of like plant in my mind, and then I have sort of at least like a title or a category that I can then say and pick and choose from like elements of my life and sort of slot it in to what Bungie is trying to do here with Marathon. Another thing that was really helpful, and as I was, you know, my interest is like super peaked here, and I'm trying to understand more about Marathon, I came across Jake the Allright and a video that he did about the art of Marathon. What was it called? Marathon Art Style Breakdown that Jake the Allright did. It is so good. He does such a good job bringing in those real world references. And Jake mentions F1 as like the first reference that they were like pulling from. And I would have never thought about that. And then you see the F1 logo and you see those cars and the branding that's on them, sort of like the finishes of the paint, the contrast that they have. F1 has such a distinct visual style. And I totally see that here in what they're trying to do with Marathon. Love that comparison. Super great for me to have. Then they also reference Nike. I think that is great too. Nike does a great job, just the simple swoosh, that check logo. They use a lot of these bright neon colors as well. Then he gets into brutalism and sort of, you know, brutalist art, and then architecture, which makes a ton of sense in their sort of titles and branding and logos that they're using for Marathon. So all in all those real world references that they're pulling from make so much sense to me. And I really like all of those individual things, you know, isolated themselves. I've appreciated them in my own life, and then brought together here. It works in a way that just really surprises me and kind of inspires me. I'm just having so much fun looking at it all. I find it incredible, and I'm glad that I now have a reference point for a lot of this art, this style of art. Another reason why the art style works so well for me is I love sort of narrative contrast, dueling themes that are in conflict with each other. Some of my favorite things are when something looks like it's almost cartoonish or not as graphic as it actually is. The first appearance of it is like cool or hip or fun or sort of like for all ages, and then you get into it and the concepts are borderline horrific. Obviously the trailer at the end of that reveal, it sort of did border on horror to me. This dystopian cyberpunk, System Shock, sort of Event Horizon, sci-fi future. I love this stuff. And I do think that like horror is not explored in sci-fi enough. I think it's like among the most successful sort of like ways to portray horror. It feels like Bungie is trying to do that in a very specific way here. And that leads to the second reason why I'm very interested in Marathon and doing more content around it, or at least diving deeper into all of this, is the lore and the narrative. I've listened to My Name is Bife and then more stuff from Jake the Allright, and I think the story around Marathon is incredible. I think it was unique back then when they first came out with the games, and I think it's still unique today. This is far more fleshed out than I would have thought that it was. There's so much meat on the bones here to dive into. And again, that duality where these are bright, geometric, almost poppy, punky sort of like colors and design. But then like the themes, how they're like stabbing each other in the chest and punching each other to death. Gasping for air, the cinematic showing their bodies rip apart and explode into colors. The idea is terrifying itself that so far in the future, our consciousness becomes so disassociated with our body, our physical presence, your own body, that you have a synthetic shell that houses your thoughts. And you have rehoused your consciousness or uploaded it to the server so many times. That consciousness is so strained at this point that your memories are almost gone. You have nothing left, no connection to what you were. And at that point, are you just an AI? Are you maybe even less than an AI?
Do you recognize this child?
I don't know. Is that me?
It was effective watching some of this stuff and then being able to see what they're trying to do, I think, with the narrative here, the story elements and the theming there, with the art style. I just think it's a 10. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. Truly couldn't be better. I am so excited to immerse myself in all of this. So those are the two main reasons. The gameplay, I'm a big Destiny fan. One of the best things about Destiny is the way it plays, the way it handles. It just feels good to play. And I want more PvP out of Destiny. So that's 3. That's number 3. I'm not necessarily like pumped about this being an extraction shooter, but I'm pumped about everything else around this. So it sounds weird to say, but the gameplay is like the lowest on my list of why I'm excited about Marathon. That being said, I imagine it's gonna be great. So I've been looking for something I can really sink my teeth into, and I think this is it. And I love Bungie. I go way back to Combat Evolved with them, and then I played not the alpha. I'm pretty sure it wasn't the alpha of Destiny 1, but the closed beta and then the open beta. I just wanted to get out in front and say that like the art style and the narrative are my reasons for wanting to do this. I know it's a video game, and for most people, that gameplay, the longevity of that, those mechanics, that's going to be the most important thing, and I totally understand that. For me, it's not. Like I said, I think that's 3rd on the list for me. I also want to use this as sort of a roadmap for my channel and explain what I intend to do here. So the first thing I'm going to do is go back and play the original Marathon trilogy. I'm gonna start from 1, and we're gonna go through the whole thing. I'm gonna stream that, and I'm gonna cut that out and probably make gameplay about that, but not too many. I wanna go through that quickly, understand, give myself a foundation for all this, rather than just the lore videos from Bife and Jake. I'm gonna play through that. I'd love for you to come by and watch, hang out in the chat, maybe tell me what I'm doing wrong. I kind of don't really know what to expect, and I haven't played a shooter like that really since I was a kid, since like Doom or something like that. So it might be a challenge for me going back. Might need your help. Come and help me on stream if you can. So we'll do that, all while sort of like staying up with Marathon and the news and any of the ARG and all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna stay up, we're gonna play the original Marathon trilogy. We're gonna stay up on all current Marathon news and reveals. Hopefully I get access to the alpha. I know I can't stream that or show gameplay, but hopefully. And then leading up to Marathon, I think this is the perfect opportunity to get back into Destiny. I sort of fell off on Destiny when my son was born a couple years ago. Haven't really been back, so I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to get back into Destiny, which I'm excited about again. So we're gonna do that. I also built a new PC. I always played Destiny on PlayStation. So I'm a new PC gamer. I gotta figure out how to play Destiny on mouse and keyboard. So now's the perfect time to start because I'm gonna wanna play Marathon on PC, gonna wanna do mouse and keyboard. I think that game's gonna be really sweaty. So I'm gonna have to get good at mouse and keyboard to even stand a chance. I'm not saying I'm gonna be good at it, but I wanna play it on mouse and keyboard. I think this is the perfect thing for me to really, like I said, sink my teeth into. There's a lot of meat on the bones here, more than I was expecting there to be. And then I get to get back into Destiny. I get to replay some old retro classics. This is a win, man. This is a huge win for me. I'm super excited. Would love for you to come along with me. Gonna have a ton of fun. So expect more Marathon content, Destiny content, and Bungie content in general. We're gonna commit to that now. And it's not long until September. This gives me, several months to sort of lay that foundation, learn how to play mouse and keyboard, and hopefully build a little bit of a Bungie community here going forward and getting into Marathon. Because I'm gonna want to fully dive deep into Marathon, immerse myself in it. So we'll be looking for a community to play with, teams to build, and all that kind of stuff. So it's been great, super excited. Thank you for watching. Please come along for the ride with me. Would love to have you, and expect those Marathon playthroughs to be happening very soon. I probably will start streaming within the next day or two. Hopefully we can blast through those pretty quick. All right, thank you for watching. That's about it. More to come, a lot more to come. Thanks for watching. See ya.